My father is refusing to walk me down the aisle, but it gets so much deeper than that. He's actually refusing to even come to my wedding, and you want to know why? Because his golden child decided to throw a housewarming party on the same day as my wedding. Who does that? But you know what? That's only half of it. Let me tell you the rest of this nightmare. You know, everyone has problems with their siblings, right? I mean, it's normal to have issues with your siblings. Sibling rivalry just happens, but in the end, you know that your siblings will always have your back. The problem is, when it comes to the relationship with my sister, well, this isn't really the case. My sister and I have never been close, despite all my attempts to get close to her. When I learned that I was going to have a sister, I was thrilled. What kid would not be happy to learn they were going to get a sister? Not that I wouldn't want a brother, but I wanted a sister more. Someone to play, hang out with. But the reason I'm here is because my sister and I do not get along. Everyone's talking about their issues with their family, siblings in particular, and my current issue with my sister is likely going to be what ruins our relationship for good. It might also ruin my relationship with my father. Dad and I have a bad relationship as well. If my mom were alive, I could add her to the list as well. There's only one person I have a great relationship with, which is something I'll get into later. You know, I've got the sibling rivalry story to end all stories. It started when we were kids, as it often does. My sister Josephine was born about 3 years after I was born. My parents had a miscarriage just before getting pregnant with Josephine, so she is what we call a rainbow baby. Rainbow babies are children who were conceived successfully after having a miscarriage. It was hard enough for my mom to get pregnant with me, so it was no surprise that she lost the baby after having one. The doctors said it was unlikely that she would get pregnant again, and if she did, then it wouldn't survive. However, then came along Josephine. My parents always treated her like she was special because she was their miracle baby. After her, they could not have any more children, so my mom and dad spoiled her to no end. I was often forgotten, pushed aside in favor of my sister getting all the attention. As you can imagine, I did what most kids do. I tried to do whatever I could to get my parents' attention. First, I tried to be the perfect child I could be, and then when that did not work, I would act out. Neither seemed to work, though acting out just got me punished. Josephine was the apple of my parents' eyes. They completely ignored me, so eventually, I just gave up trying to get their attention and tried to work towards getting out of the house. There were times I would still try to get their attention, though. Like trying to get them to go to my school events or graduation. My parents did go to my graduation, but left early because my sister said she wasn't feeling well. Whatever my sister wanted, she got. And it turned her into a monster. There were these occasional moments where the two of us got along, and I felt like I had a sister. But they never lasted long, and, Josephine would go right back to being selfish and a terrible human being. When Mother died, I hoped it would bring us together. It did for a time, but then my dad started focusing all of his attention on my sister. I was grieving too, but no one seemed to care about what I was feeling. This is why I said I have the sibling rivalry story to end all sibling rivalry stories. I spent a lot of time wondering what I could have done to get my father to pay attention to me, but I had to accept that my sister mattered more to him. For whatever reason, it may have been because my sister was their miracle baby they never expected, or my personality did not appeal to them. You know, whatever the reason, I had to just accept that this was the reality of the situation. So, after graduating from high school, I decided to go to college out of state. It seemed like a good idea to put as much distance between my family and me as possible, only going back for holidays, and when I came back for Thanksgiving the same year I moved out, I discovered my sister had pretty much taken control of my room. It was now her extra room, acting as a closet for her. I could not believe what I was seeing when I got home that first vacation. Of course, I talked to my dad and asked him where I was going to sleep, and he said to just move some of her things around because there was still a bed in there. He was ignoring the fact that it had all of her crap in it. So, to not start a fight, I decided to just sleep on the lumpy couch for the vacation. After that, I just bought myself a cot and set it up in my father's office whenever I came to visit. But the longer I was at college, the less often I was there. I could have made a stink about it, but instead, I just let it be. What was the point of bringing it up to my dad? He would side with Josephine. But there was one good thing about coming home. I got to see my Uncle Tim, who was like a second father to me. My father did not get along with him, but I did. He always treated me so well. The best thing is my sister did not bother with him because he didn't let her get away with her usual selfish crap. After graduating from college, I headed back home. Got an office job quickly and then started working there. About 2 years after coming back home, I ran into Michael. He was someone I went to school with and moved away for college, just like I did. It turns out that he had recently come back, getting a job at a doctor's office in the next town over. He asked me out, and obviously I said yes. The two of us dated for a while before I decided to introduce him to my family. When I introduced him to my family, I was nervous. Dad was all right, but he didn't talk to Michael much. He seemed more interested in finishing his food and then going to watch a few football games. The meeting with my sister went about the same. Eventually, Michael proposed, and I accepted from there. I had to tell my family, and I decided that even if we had a lot of issues, I wanted my sister to be the maid of honor, and my father to walk me down that aisle. It was natural to want that, you know? So I started planning the wedding, which brings us to the present time. I've been planning the wedding for a while, and we're getting close to the day that Michael and I will finally be husband and wife. I should have expected that something was going to blow up in my face because my family was acting way too nice. It started with my sister announcing that she and her rich boyfriend got a house together. This was not that strange, but I did think it was a bit too soon. Then Dad came to me for a few days ago telling me about the worst thing my sister has ever done. But he thinks that she's completely justified. My sister is planning a housewarming party on the day I'm getting married. She could have had her party any other day, but wants it to be on my wedding day. Something that would be difficult to change. After dropping that bomb, Dad asked me to change the date. According to him, it won't be a big deal if I just change the date. I was obviously in shock. I couldn't say a thing. He just told me to think about it and left. Once again, my sister managed to turn the attention onto her, and I honestly should have expected it. The situation is still going on, so I'll probably update you in a few days, but until then, I'm going to be trying to figure out what I'm going to do. It just feels like I'm between a rock and a hard place. I mean, on one hand, I don't want to change my wedding date because everything is set in stone. We've prepared the venue, the caterers, and everything else associated with the wedding. If I were to try to change the date at this late minute, there's no guarantee that I would be able to get a refund anyways. However, my sister and my father would come to the wedding without a problem. There are my family, and the idea of them not being there, it hurts. All I have to do is change the date, and everybody will be happy. Except me. I mean, I'm not going to be happy at all, and I don't mean that just because of the money aspect, but that is reason enough. It's knowing that my sister can make something as simple as a housewarming party on my wedding date. Obviously, she did it on purpose, and get my father to white knight for her. I could refuse to change it. It would mean my father and sister would not come to my wedding. You know, trying to explain how important this date is to me and my sister is absolutely pointless. She's never going to see things my way, and Dad automatically sides with her. It would be so embarrassing to not have the closest family I have there. I want my father to walk me down the aisle. I mean, he's my dad. Who else would I have? I have no idea what the heck I'm going to do. So I can honestly use some advice right now. So guys, tell me, what should I do? Update number 1. Hey guys, it's been about a week since my father asked me to change the date of my wedding. I spoke with my fiance and he said that it was up to me. What I told him was that under no uncertain terms am I going to change our wedding date, no matter what my father or sister wanted. He hugged me, telling me that he would support me no matter what. I picked a good guy because Michael has always been nothing but understanding and never judging me or my crappy family. My dad did reach out to me again after I had a few days to just digest the information, so to speak. He asked me what I was going to do, and I said in no uncertain terms, I was not changing it. Everything has been paid for, so I would obviously be out a lot of money. Dad did not seem very happy with this, and he pulled out his checkbook, writing me a couple $1,000s. It would be more than enough to cover everything for the wedding. My dad had always been iffy with money, but after making sudden investments came into a lot of money. But I don't want his cash. I didn't say anything. All I can do is stare at the check. He says that with this money, I'll be able to change the date of my wedding with no problem, and still have enough left over for a small honeymoon. Now, we're going on just a weekend away at a friend's cabin, which is fine. I don't need anything expensive, and Dad is expecting an answer from me. But I say I need to think about it. He tells me that he knows I'll do what is right for the family because I always have my sister's best interest at heart. Hearing this, it makes me so angry. I mean, what about my best interest? No one ever thought about my best interest. It was always in Josephine's best interest, no matter what. When I talked with my husband about what my father said, he suggested that I sit on it for a while and not make a rash decision. Michael doesn't want us to change the wedding date or anything, but he thinks it might be a good idea to give my dad a taste of his own medicine. I agree that it could be a good way to stick it to him, but I want to think about this first. You know, this is my father. He's the only parent I have left other than my uncle, and the thing is, I don't know how much more I can take. I've been dealing with crap from family for years, so I finally think I've reached my breaking point, and honestly, it's been a long time coming. Dad and Josephine can't treat me like this forever, never expecting me to push back. I think Michael has finally given me the courage to stand up for myself and do something about it. The check is just sitting in my drawer, untouched for now, and I have to make a decision soon because he'll probably come back, demanding that I change the date or I give him back the money. Why doesn't Dad realize that throwing money on this problem isn't going to make things go away? I'd have to change the dates with no guarantee when I'll be able to rebook the venue and everything else. The venue I chose is my dream venue, so what if I have to wait to, I don't know, say another 6 months to a year? Michael and I don't want to wait to get married. We want to get married, starting the next step of our lives, and then start working on a family. I'm going to be doing a lot of thinking in the next few days. I'll update you all as soon as I can. Please, if you have any advice, leave it in the comments. I'm still so conflicted and unsure of how or, well, I should go about this. Update number 2. It's been a few days since my last update, but Michael and I had a good talk. We decided that we were going to keep the money, not to change our wedding date or anything like that. Instead, we're going to put into an expensive honeymoon while keeping the wedding date the same. Dad specifically wrote the check saying that it's a gift, so he has no way to get the money back if he tries to turn around, demanding I pay him back. He specifically gave it to me as a gift, and while he might have ideas of how I can spend that money, it's ultimately up to me how I decide to spend it. We didn't need an expensive honeymoon, but the two of us wanted to spoil ourselves. If it's my dad's money, I might as well spend it on something I would not want to spend my own money on. Let him waste his money, which is what he's doing exactly. So, I'm not going to change the date of my wedding just because my sister is hosting some stupid housewarming party. I mean, come on. She can have that at any single moment. Hell, she can have it the day after. But no, my sister Josephine can't stand that I'm having the attention on me for once in my life. What she has to do is to make sure it's on her. Hence why she's having her housewarming party on the same day as my wedding. The two events just can't compete. A wedding is a big milestone in a woman's life, way more than some stupid housewarming party. But then there's the problem of me not being able to have someone walk me down the aisle. For a brief second, I panic until I remember my Uncle Tim. My dear Uncle Tim is a good man. I love him so much, so he would love to walk me down the aisle. This is something I'm sure of before I even asked him the question. When I did, he actually started to cry and hugged me. At first he said that he was sorry about what was happening with my father, and that it was not fair that he had always put my sister first. You know, what Bobby, my father, should have done is put the both of us first. The same went for my mother, but hey, she's dead. With my uncle walking me down the aisle and me using my father's money for a honeymoon, the two of us have a plan now. I know when my father catches wind of this, he's going to be very upset, but I don't care. He spent years not taking my feelings into account, so I should be able to do something for myself for once. My sister will likely be upset too, and to be honest, I'm happy with the idea of her being upset. She should feel a little of what I've been feeling over the years. But outside of the bitterness, there is also the sadness. This is my sister and father we're talking about. After my mother died, they were all I had left. I wish I didn't always feel like an outsider in my own immediate family. Luckily, my in-laws have been good to me, but there's still a part of me who desperately wants a relationship with my family. Let me know what you think. Did I do the right thing? And wish me luck with whatever comes. Update number 3. Hey guys, oh man, the wedding's in 3 days and I'm actually so excited. I thought I would just pop up on here and let everyone know that we put the money down on a honeymoon that we're going to directly after the wedding. Once the wedding dinner is over, we'll head right to the airport and be away for a week. It'll be a lovely honeymoon down by the beach, and I can't wait to say my vows and spend the first few days of our marriage in such a magical setting. Michael is just as excited as I am. I finally sat my father down 3 days before we were set to have the wedding. He sits down at the table, not expecting me to say that I'm still having the wedding, and not only that, but my uncle will be walking me down the aisle. Michael is the one to tell him because the words just won't come out. Dad laughs at this, thinking it's a bit of a joke, but then he sees the expression on my face, and from the moment on, Dad jumps up from the table and starts to scream. He's telling me that I'm an ungrateful brat and don't care at all about my sister, and if I did, then I would have changed the date. Then he mentions how I could bring my uncle into this. I mean, how could I? Dad never liked Uncle, by the way. Even if they were brothers, he felt that my uncle always felt that he was better than him. To make matters worse, my uncle once refused to give my dad a loan because he knew that it would go to waste. He demands to have his money back. I then gleefully tell him that we have already spent the money on an expensive honeymoon. My dad gets even more angry about this, demanding that I need to give it back to him or he'll sue me for the money. Michael mentions that my father made sure to put it as a gift on the check that he made. And, well, even if he tried, he wouldn't be able to get it back. Dad has made a mistake when he said it was a gift. His intention was probably to butter us up or something. It just gets to the point where Michael has to drag my father to the door, forcing him out. He says that if he tries to come in or doesn't leave, then he's going to call the cops to get him gone. I can't believe what's happening. My dad is not happy with the situation, but now he knows how I felt. The money he gave me almost felt like blood money, but at the same time, I think of it as a parting gift from my father. It's a great way for me to move on too. Let's hope my wedding goes well. Update number 4. Hey guys, it's been pretty long since the last update, I know, but I was on my honeymoon. I mean, why would I be posting about my family drama when I'm trying to enjoy my new life with my husband? Come on. I'll tell you what the honeymoon, it went great. We came out of it more in love and stronger. I almost want to send my dad a text and thank him for getting us the money, because without him, we never would have had such a magical honeymoon. But I'm not going to do that because contacting him is not a good idea. Coming home was difficult because I didn't know what I would be coming home to. I did not talk to my father or sister the entire time. What I made sure to do was block their numbers so my father and sister, as well as any other families that could bother me. But I had to know what went down while I was gone just to know what was going on. And here's what happened after I left. My father went on a rampage after not being able to get me to change my wedding date or give back the money. According to my uncle, who still speaks with some of the family, Dad went to my sister's housewarming party but was miserable the whole time. He kept mumbling to himself, picking fights with anyone who would look in his direction. Josephine couldn't handle it. She snapped at Dad, saying he was taking away from her big day. If he could not behave at the housewarming party, then he was going to have to leave. Well, Dad was not happy with that, so my sister's boyfriend ended up telling him to get out or he would be thrown out. It was similar to when Michael had to physically drag my dad to the front door and force him outside. Unfortunately, Dad woke up this time. He did leave, but he made a fuss about it, and I heard that Josephine cut him off. Now, my father has lost both of his daughters, me and his precious little golden child, Josephine. My sister has not reached out to me at all, and honestly, this is for the best. I don't want the two of us to be involved in any way at all. It's easier if we are apart, living our own lives. But it's ironic that my dad was shunned and kicked out by my sister. The only thing I've heard from Dad is that he wants the money back. But this is Dad just blowing hot air. He's not going to be able to do anything, and the reason for that is because, well, he literally said it was a gift. No matter how many times we'll tell him this, he just can't seem to get it through his thick skull. Michael and I are considering moving away. Pretty soon. It'll just be easy to get a fresh start in the city, far away from my father and sister. I'll miss my uncle, but I'm almost tempted to ask him if he wants to come along with me. My uncle is retired, so it'll be nice if he decides to come, spending out his golden years with people who actually care about him. But this isn't going to happen anytime soon. It's going to be a few months before we consider moving and even manage to find a place. What, well, I do know is now I'm officially going no contact with my father and sister. The two of them are never going to make me feel like crap again for as long as I live. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.